Looks too easy, right? This is the Black Square, the famous avant-guard painting by Russian artist Kazimir Malevich. He painted it in 1915. And since then, audiences argue, is this even art? A 5-year-old could do that. I bet you don't want to hear a boring lecture on art. Well, don't worry, it won't happen. Russia's most expensive art on the current market is abstract. A Malevich was recently sold for $85 million US, and a Kandinsky went for a delicious 41 million. While technically more complex paintings, and I'm telling you this as a fine arts student myself, go for much less. Marc Chagall was auctioned for $28 million US, Valentin Serov scored $14 million, and our contemporary Kabakov some $6 million US, still incredibly impressive though. But what do experts see when they look at the Black Square that others of us just can't understand? In the beginning of the 20th century, many artists were in search of a new visual language, but it was Malevich who structured it all in his books, lectures, and paintings. He developed ideas on how art didn't have to copy reality, but could create its own reality instead. In other words, Malevich insisted that an artist was free to depict the world in any way he wanted to, a revolutionary thought back then. Here's how the maestro saw a morning in the village after a snowstorm, for example. In his 1927 book, The Non-Objective World, he wrote,
"In the year of 1913, trying desperately to free art from the dead weight of the real world, I took refuge in the form of the square."
Okay, we get it. He was a pioneer of abstract art, but could he draw at all? Kazimir Malevich was a fantastic artist. Before inventing his own school of art, suprematism, he dabbed in Impressionism in 1904, Pointillism in 1907, Symbolism that same year, Post-Impressionism in 1908, Fauvism in 1911, and Cubism in 1913. Then after his Black Square, he turned to more conventional forms of visual art, like neoclassicism in 1933 and even realism in 1934. Landscapes and portraits, fine, but what's with the geometrical shapes and all? In 1913, together with musician and artist Mikhail Matyushin, poets Velimir Khlebnikov and Alexei Krochony, Malevich worked on a futurist opera, Victory Over the Sun. There, the heroes strive to eliminate reason by overtaking the sun and destroying time, essentially killing off past values. Malevich was in charge of set and costume design, and at some point while working on the decorations for the solar eclipse, he found inspiration for his future Black Square when he overlaid a cross with a circle. So what we see in museums today, is that part of his set decoration? No way. Before the Black Square, Malevich created a whole theory behind it. His revolutionary ideas were first presented during a 1915 exhibition called 0.10. The artist hung his works in such a way that his Black Square was above all else, almost on the ceiling, a supreme shape, the beginning of everything. It mimicked icons in traditional Russian homes, and in an instant, Malevich defied everything, including faith. Conceptual, but how is this relevant now? Art critics call the Black Square a perfect formula for any image. Look closer. Does it remind you of something painfully modern? It's a pixel, the smallest unit of any digital image. Malevich was ahead of his time when he predicted that the square would become the smallest building block of visual storytelling. After the Black Square, Malevich will research shape, color, and how they correlate in space. His suprematist compositions will be born, paving the way for modern design, fashion, photography, and architecture, eventually shaping the visual language of everything we know today. Well, why didn't he use color then, when he painted the square? Well, in all fairness, it's not pitch black, not a perfect square either. Actually, Let's choose which black square out of the 4 we're talking about here. I know it's confusing. So there are 4 black squares, and they're not copies. Each is considered to be a version of the same artwork. All of them are here in Russia. Art critics agree that only the first square boasts the energy it's famous for. Now, when you look closely at the famous square, you can see a whole palette of different colors shining through the black cracks. Pink, yellow, green, and whatnot. My favorite part is that the black square isn't that square at all. Initially, Malevich called it the black suprematist rectangle. And if you try to measure the first square, you will find that none of its angles are straight. Now that was done on purpose though. The artist wanted the shape to be in constant movement. I wonder how museum workers decided which side was top. Anyway, 3 years ago, they found out they had it wrong. In 2015, the Tretyakov Gallery used X-ray to examine the artwork, only to find 2 more paintings beneath the black square layer. They also found a scribble by Malevich that reads "Negroes fighting in a cellar at night," indicating that the painting was upside down all this time. The cryptic note that some found racist is the name of an 1884 painting by Alphonse Allais. But he went back to much more conventional painting styles after the Black Square. Several years after his revolutionary exhibition, didn't Malevich announce that suprematism was dead? Yeah, but before that, he created the black circle, black cross, red square, and white on white, a white square. Kazimir Malevich was always fascinated by how color affected humans. With his geometrical studies, he completely gave up on copying reality. Form and even color lost relevance in his white square. Who needs art that you can only understand with so much background information? This is a perfectly adequate question, but there's a theory that when humans change their speed of travel with evolution, they crave a new visual language, one that carries ideas faster. Think of the most iconic visuals from the 20th and 21st century: Picasso, Pollock, O'Keeffe, Banksy. None of them would make sense to a Renaissance person. So, of course, visual art requires context. Okay, I get it. A 5-year-old could not have done it. Only a genius artist completely ahead of his time, surrounded by a like-minded crowd of talented youth who truly believed they were on the cusp of creating a bright new world could.